To me, the debate about faith versus science has always seemed like two people arguing while throwing darts in the dark, where one person has a flashlight and the other does not. The first person throws darts into the darkness, believing he's hit the bullseye of a dartboard he's never seen. The second person throws darts at a faint board in the distance, lit only by a small flashlight, and he often misses the bullseye. The first person looks at the second person's dartboard and says, "Aha, you missed," and he sees it as a weakness. The second person responds to the first person and says, "Yes, but I can improve my aim," and he sees it as a strength. The second person then turns his flashlight in the direction of the first person's throw, and he says, "I don't see anything," and he sees it as a weakness. The first person then responds to the second and says, "That's because my board is more fantastic and mysterious than yours," and he sees it as a strength. Now, in all fairness to the man of faith, he may very well be hitting a dartboard that exists beyond the light of science. He may even be hitting the bullseye every time. But the real problem here is not just that they have different ways of doing things, it's that these two people can't get along and they've been having this argument for thousands of years. And the reason is that mutual understanding and appreciation is not possible because the faithful cannot demonstrate the value of abandoning flashlights or turning them off. The scientist has demonstrated a continual improvement in each of the things he sought to accomplish, whereas the faithful is exactly where he started 2,000 years ago and has yet to justify the lack of progress. And most often, those who don't believe in flashlights, or rather those who believe in flashlights but pretend not to notice their usefulness, don't understand how flashlights really work in the first place. There are even those who practice throwing darts with flashlights while they're at work, and then they turn the flashlights off when they go home. Those would be people like Dr. Francis Collins, director of the Human Genome Research Project, who didn't come through God through the laboratory as creationists would have hoped, but rather through a personal hike through the mountains. But even those people cannot truly reconcile these two positions or bridge the gap between the two extremes. I mean, if someone speaks both Japanese and English, they should be able to serve as an interpreter between a Japanese speaker and an English speaker so that they can come to a mutual understanding. But for some reason, those who both throw darts in the dark and the light apparently can't teach the faithful how flashlights work, and they can't teach the scientist how to hit the invisible dartboard. And it doesn't help that all those people who have had near dartboard experiences have never returned from the darkness with an actual dartboard, or that we already have a neurological explanation for why you see spots when you use a flashlight improperly and then turn it off. What's worse is that, even if you were to convince me that I should turn my flashlight off, you still wouldn't have proved that we're hitting the same dartboard. Just because we use the same word doesn't mean we're describing the same thing. Regardless of how many similarities the descriptions can have, neither of us can read the other person's mind, and there would be, apparently, no way for us to verify which dartboard we're hitting external to the descriptions in our heads. Myself and others have done all we can to try to understand the supposed usefulness of faith. I was raised in the dark under a faithful and loving mother, but my life was never as enriched as it has been since I discovered the flashlight of science that allows me to observe my failures and improve my aim. I can even appreciate the philosophical explanation of how faith can allow a person to reach a Zen-like state, but I can do that with flashlights, so I still don't see why faith is necessary or beneficial to the process. But if you really can't understand science, then maybe it is better that you stay away from it. Just don't think you're doing the world a favor by demonizing and waging a war against flashlights. So all I'm saying is, I fully accept that you choose to play darts in the dark and that you might be right about everything you claim. But if that is your choice, then please follow your own beliefs and let bygones be bygones. Don't try to undermine science or ruin the game for everyone else just so you have more company in the shadows. Because I'll tell you, the more people who throw things without seeing what they're hitting, the more likely it is that someone will get hurt. Thanks for watching.